So in today's lesson, we're going to learn about inequalities, how to solve them, how to graph it, and how to do multi-step. So first things first, what is an inequality? Before I can go into what an inequality is, I have to first just remind you what an equal sign is. So an equal sign is when the left side is literally the same weight, the same size as the right side. So once again, there's a balance. The left side weighs as much as the right side. Think of it like a seesaw. So an inequality is somewhat similar. So an inequality just means this. Let's just say hypothetically the left side was bigger. Look what I'm doing to the equal sign. Do you see how now there is more space between the top and the bottom on the left side versus the right side? That's why the left side in this problem is bigger, is greater than the right side. It's pretty much an equal sign that opened up, and the side that it opens up is the bigger side. Now, of course, I think in elementary school they teach you this, like you put a little eyeball here, I think. And then you have like a Pac-Man symbol, or you have the alligator symbol, whatever you want. Just remember that the side that it opens up to is the bigger side. Now let's practice reading it, because you need to know how to read inequalities. In this problem here, because the left side is greater than the right side, this sign means greater than. Let's go over another one. Left side. You always read it like a book. So here the right side is bigger, I get that. But because you're reading it like a book, left to right, you're going to say that the left side is less than. Do you see how the left side is smaller? So the left side is less than the right side. So this inequality is less than. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. But you have to know the difference in the wording. This right here, once again, is a less than symbol. Because left to right, the left side is smaller. This is a greater than symbol. Because once again, reading it like a book, left to right, the left side is bigger than the right side. And then, of course, you have two more where they have little lines underneath it. And those lines underneath it, this means that it's also equal to. So once again, I'll write this down. This right here is a less than symbol. This right here is a greater than symbol. But the other two now, this one is still a less than symbol, right? Let's not forget that. But it's also or equal to, because it has that black line underneath it. And that black line is half of an equal sign. See, look, if I erase this and I put a straight line there, see how it's an equal sign? So that's why it's less than or equal to. And this symbol here is pretty much a greater than symbol, but then it's or equal to. And those are the four types of inequalities. Once again, if you know how to read it, it's really not hard, but you need to know how to read it. That's the trick to it. So here, list possible solutions for y blank 10, because the y has the bigger inequality sign, right? It's y is greater than 10. So if I read it, it's just saying y is greater than 10. So just list numbers that are greater than 10. Well, 11 is greater than 10. 15 is greater than 10. 802.50 is greater than 10. Those are all possible solutions, right? Once again, if you know how to read it, it's not hard. This one right here, m. Now because m, right, the inequality is eating the right side, but I have to read the m first. So because m is less than or equal to 6, I'm just finding numbers that are less than or equal to 6. So 5 is less than 6. 2 is less than 6. 4 is less than 6. But because it has an equal sign in there, I can also use 6 because 6 is equal to 6. See, in the first one, there was no equal sign, so I could not use 10. But in the second one, I could use 6 because it could be equal to or less than. So you do the other two on your own, and I'll check to make sure it's right. Now, I know this has an inequality, so at first you're like, oh my god, this is so hard, but it's not, once again. You just treat inequalities like equal signs at first. So look, I'm going to rewrite the problem. M plus 3, but now I'm going to write equals 4 instead. And look, I'll just solve this instead. So I have a left side and a right side. The variable's on the left side, so my goal is to get rid of that plus 3. How do I get rid of that plus 3? I subtract 3. Plus 3 minus 3, gone. What do I do to one side? I do to the other side. 4 minus 3 is 1. Equals m. So my answer here is m equals 1. That's what you did in like lesson 4.1. This is no different. Draw a line through the inequality. Get rid of that 3 by subtracting it. You have a 1. This is the only difference now. I'm not bringing down the equal sign. I am bringing down the inequality. So I'm going to bring down the same exact inequality. That is a greater than symbol. So I'm bringing down a greater than symbol. And then, of course, I bring down the m. That's why in 4.1, I was telling everyone, make sure you bring your work down. My answer is m is greater than 1. You don't need to list possible solutions, just m is greater than 1. But like for example, m could be 2, 3, 4, 5. If m is greater than 1, any answer above 1 is correct. Okay, let's just do one more. Same thing, I have that inequality. I could draw a line through it. And then same thing, I just want to isolate the variable. How do I get rid of a negative 5? I add 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. I bring down that inequality. This time it's a less than symbol. And I bring down the y. My answer is y is less than 15. So you can pause the video right now. You can do the next few on your own and then jump to where I start again. I'm just going to make up an example and then I'm going to show you how to graph it. So let's just say that x is greater than 2. Well, you graph it by drawing a number line. In the center, I usually just put what the answer is. So if it's x is greater than like 3, I'll put a 3. If it's x is greater than 7, I'll put a 7. In this case, because it's x is greater than 2, I'll put a 2 right in the middle. From there, one thing I probably should have went over ahead of time, and I'll do it now, is whenever you don't have lines underneath it, you see how here there's no line underneath it? Whenever there's not a line underneath it, you graph it by doing an open circle. You do it by doing an open circle. But when it has a line underneath it, think of like that line fills in the hole. So in this case, when I graph it, I'm going to do a closed circle because it has a line underneath it. Once again, it has a line underneath it, so I'm going to close in that hole. Whenever I graph, I'm going to use a closed circle for a less than or equal to. I'm going to use a closed circle for a greater than or equal to. I'm going to use an open circle for a less than, and I'm going to use an open circle for a greater than symbol. Now with that said, I can finish this. So above that 2, I'm going to do an open circle. Once again, because it's x is greater than 2, not greater than or equal to, just greater than, I'm going to do an open circle. And because x is bigger than 2, I'm going to go in the direction that the numbers are bigger. So to help me out, maybe I'll fill out my number line a little bit better. One number to the right of 2 is 3. One number to the left of 2 is 1. Because x is greater than 2, I'm going to shade to the right side because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers to the right of 2 are going to be bigger than 2. Okay, let's do another one. This time it's going to be y is less than 7. Once again, I'll do a number line. I'll put the 7 right in the middle. One number less is 6. Because it's a less than symbol, I'm going to do an open circle above the 7. But once again, because it's less than 7, I'm going to go in the direction where the numbers are smaller than 7. So in this problem, I'm going to shade to the left. Because 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all those numbers are less than 7. Okay, let's go with w is greater than or equal to 2. Very similar to up here, and I did that on purpose. We're going to draw our number line. It's going to look very similar to the top one, 2, and then I'll do a 3 here and a 1 here. This is the main difference because it's greater than or equal to. Above the 2, I'm doing a closed circle now. Not an open circle, but a closed circle. And then everything else is the same. Because it's w is greater than or equal to 2, I'm going to go in the direction of the greater numbers. So I'm going to go to the right. Last one. And we'll go back. We'll go to a is less than or equal to 0. Put 0 in the front here. And then it's going to be 1 and negative 1. Because it's a less than or equal to symbol, above the 0, I'm doing a closed circle. Not an open, but closed. And because it's less than, I'm going to the left. Less left, right? Because the numbers there are smaller than 0. And that's how you graph these solutions. Well, this is the last one, and then you can finish up to the next part. Draw line through inequality, just like chapter 3, just like chapter 4. First, split up your terms. On the left side, you have 3 terms, but 2 of them are like terms. 0.1 plus 0.9, because signs are the same, right? They're both positive, I add, and that actually equals 1. So it equals 1y. Some of you are probably going to get 1.0. Just remember 0.0 you don't need. So 1y is fine. And then I'm going to bring down that plus 7. And then I'm going to bring down that inequality and the 9. Draw a line through the inequality again. This time I'm going to subtract by 7, subtract by 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. Bring down the inequality, 1y. The operation between the 1 and the y is multiplication, so I'm going to divide by 1, and y is less than 2. That is my answer. However, now they want us to graph it. So now I'm going to take my answer, and I'm going to create a number line. I'm going to put 2 right in the middle. I'm going to go 1 higher. I'm going to go 1 smaller. Because it's a less than, I'm going to do an open circle above the 2. And once again, because it's a less than, I'm going to go to the left where the numbers are smaller. And there's my answer. My answer, please understand this, my answer is both. It's y is less than 2, and then the graph that illustrates y is less than 2. So the rest is on you, and then you're going to stop on this slide right here. This slide right here, please stop, and then let me check what you have so far. So I don't think this right here, this slide, is going to explain well what you have to do, but this is part of the math and focus. So I'm going to do it their way first. I'll do it kind of quickly, but then I'll explain better like what it's trying to say. So what they're trying to say is, if you have 4 and 7 right off the bat, you know that 4 is less than 7, correct? That's why you have the less than symbol. Well, look what happens when you take that 4 and you multiply it by -2. Look what happens when you take that 7 and you multiply by -2. 4 times -2 is -8. 7 times -2 is -14. Now, which one is bigger? Now the -8 is bigger. Look what happens to the inequality. When you multiply by -2, the inequality flips. Right, we're going to do one more, and then I'm going to move on to a better example. Once again, you take the basic 4 from the first problem and the basic 7 from the first problem. This time we're going to multiply it by +2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 7 times 2 is 14. In this problem, which one's bigger? 14 is. Notice here how the inequality didn't change. So once again, I'm going to spell it out for you. I only did 2 scenarios. I'm not even going to do this. In the first scenario, I multiplied the original numbers by -2, and therefore the inequality switched. When I multiply both numbers by +2, though, the inequality remained the same. So something happens, obviously, when you multiply by a negative. In this problem here, we're going to solve like we normally would. Line through the inequality. The operation between the m and the 2 is division. So the opposite is multiplying. So I multiply by 2. The 2's cancel out. I multiply 2 here. And m is greater than 30. That's it. M is greater than 30. Notice how my inequality did not flip. Your inequality does not flip when you multiply by a positive. Please understand one thing. I'm not saying if this answer is positive. I'm saying what you do to both sides. If that number is a positive, the inequality remains the same and you bring it down. But look what happens at number 2. Number 2, you draw a line through the inequality. This time you're not multiplying by +2. You're multiplying by -2. So you multiply by -2 so that the negatives cancel out and the 2's cancel out. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. And m, right, I'll leave it blank for now, and 15 times -2 is -30. But my inequality flips now. The inequality went from a greater than symbol to a less than symbol. Why? Because I multiplied both sides by a negative. It has nothing to do with the answer being negative. That could have been m is positive 30. That could have been m is negative 30. That part doesn't matter. It's because I'm multiplying both sides by a negative. Because this is a negative. Because this is a negative. The inequality literally flips. It goes from eating the left side to eating the right side. My answer is m is less than negative 30. You know what? Just to illustrate better what I'm trying to say, I'm going to cross this out. You're going to do the same. I'm going to write m over negative 5 is greater than negative 8. So you can understand better what I'm saying. Same thing, line through the inequality. And here we're going to multiply by negative 5. We do to one side, we do to the other side. So multiplying this by negative 5. So it's m. A negative times a negative is a positive. So 8 times 5 is 40. But because I multiplied by a negative 5, the inequality flips. It goes from a greater than symbol to a less than symbol. My answer is m is less than 40. Once again, it doesn't really matter if the answer is positive or negative, just what are you doing to both sides? If you're multiplying by a negative, the inequality flips. And then the last one here, line through the inequality, I multiply by 6, I multiply by 6, m 30, and then of course here, because I multiply by a positive 6, the inequality does not flip. It remains the same. So it initially started off as a greater than symbol, and it remains a greater than symbol. Final answer is m is greater than 30. So hopefully that made a little bit more sense when you flip it and when you don't flip the inequality. Right, I'm not going to do this again. Once again, I'm not really a fan of this way. Just understand that when you divide by negative, it flips. So before, the last example, when you multiply by a negative, it flips. Also, when you divide, the inequality flips. That's all you need to know. Once again, when you divide by a negative, the inequality will flip. So let's do these 4 examples. So here, line through the inequality, the operation between the 3 and the y is multiplication. Therefore, the opposite is dividing. You divide by 3, you divide by 3. What I have in red is a division of positive 3. Therefore, the inequality does not flip. It's still y. I keep the inequality exactly the way it is. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. Done. Next one. Let the colors kind of help you too. Here, this time I'm dividing not by a positive 3, I'm dividing both sides by a negative 3. So what I have in teal, because that is a negative, the inequality will flip. So first things first, on the left side I have y, on the right side I have negative 4, and the inequality is going to flip. Right now the right side's bigger, so I'm going to make the left side bigger. It goes from a less than symbol to a greater than symbol. My final answer is y is greater than negative 4. And once again, I divide by 5, I divide by 5. What I have in black is a positive number. I do not flip the inequality. Answer is y is greater than 4. Notice how the inequality is exactly the way it was originally, because what I divided by was a positive number. Last one. This time I divide both sides by negative 5. What I have in blue is a negative. Therefore, the inequality, what? Flips. Yes, good. Cross it off. Y. 20 divided by negative 5 is negative 4. And the inequality goes from a greater than symbol to a less than symbol. Answer is y is less than negative 4. So see if you can fill this out on your own. It's pretty much summarizing what you and I just did. And then do this on your own.